Hey, you're on.
Good morning. This is Monday, January 25th, Selectmen's meeting, 9 o'clock. Can we please stand and pledge allegiance to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business is public input. And before I say anything, I need to apologize for 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
My behavior.
It had nothing to do with the gentleman standing Howard.
No. I'm sorry.
All right.
I wanted to get that out.
Apology accepted, yes.
Okay. How you doing?
Yeah, today I've come to represent some members of the public who can't make a 9 a.m. meeting. I don't require debate or response. I'm just going to put forth some of their concerns to let you know that people are concerned. First is growing concern over the safety of the intersection up at Tufton Road corner, and they don't think enough is being done about that. Fine. Second is the availability of space at the 19 Mile Beach. There's quite a group that would like to have Tufton Borough restrict access to their beaches, such as Wolfboro did. They claim they couldn't get on the beach, it was so crowded last year. And third is merely I guess I'll have to call it just a statement, but there is definitely outrage over the fact that Wolfboro will legally be able to dump their effluent in Tuftonboro, and they would hope that our continuing efforts to monitor will prevent any issues from happening. And that's really all I came to do. I know you guys are busy, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Guy.
All right.
Stay warm.
Oh,
And go Tom Brady.
okay.
Really?
There you go. What's happening?
Next is a review of minutes. I'll start with January 11th, public minutes. I see no issues.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Next is non-public for 11:11.
I have it January 15th.
It's right in front of that. We have a transfer station report.
Okay, thanks.
I will move approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
I'm not certain those need to remain sealed.
No, they're not sealed.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. Next is minutes for January 15th. Those are work session meetings. I have no issue.
I will move approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is non-public from 1:15.
I will move approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. And those should remain sealed.
Okay. I have one for 22 January. I did last Friday.
Yeah, and Kathy said she's gonna prepare it for next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that this week?
Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'll type them up and resubmit them to make sure that you read them before I sign
Try to spell my name right.
them. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do we wait for the people to come in, or we go to the signature file?
I think let's move along.
Yeah, let's keep
Okay.
moving.
Okay, signature file.
Excuse me.
These are notice of appointments. And they're all for the Master Plan Steering Committee. Number one is Gary Qua, Q-U-A. Term expires January 1st, 2022. The same committee is Carol Bush, January 1st, 2022. Sue Wingate, of the Master Plan Steering Committee, January 1st, 2022. Barbara Madoff, January 1st, 2022. Lauren Hadley, January 1st.
So we're on that.
I will move approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we'll just,
I like it when the chief comes equipped with medical equipment, just in case we have a problem.
You don't want it.
No, but
Not for that.
I don't ever want it, but sometimes I need it.
hi, Chief.
Good morning. Actually, it feels really warm to get to that. So usual.
Well,
You started at 6 a.m.
yeah. So now that we have a remote capable thermostat in here, Jack can turn it on from his phone, so it gets warm earlier.
That's nice.
Yeah. All the modern conveniences.
It was still
Not like at
60
home where you gotta just throw another log on the fire.
Yeah.
It was still 60 at 7:30 this morning. He's like, oh, it's just hit 60. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But he said when it pits on, it hits on.
You know, once it gets going, it gets pretty good.
Yesterday.
Oh, I know, it was crazy.
Do we want to,
I was out driving around and it was like I was driving a big rig because
Yeah.
it's just blowing all over the highway.
Is there more in there? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'll interrupt. We got quite a stack of signatures, so we'll let you,
You can go through. I've got to be here for.
it's going to be a while.
I'm gonna have to be here for the Camp Belknap
Yes.
thing anyway, so whatever you need to do.
Yeah, let's get them out of the way. The signatures.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Okay.
This is intent to cut wood or timber. Lot 2-3-4.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. I'll just run these down. This is municipal authorization by assessing officials. Evidently, this individual lost 50% of his exemption because he only owns half interest.
I will move approval.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 The next item of business is the Tufton Borough CDBG claim number 1 of $8,919 be signed. I believe there's one signature.
It's just the chair. I'll move that the chair sign
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
it. Aye. I'm sorry.
Motion passes. Dave Bowline.
Sorry.
Attached is a landfill post-closure report for 2020 that needs your signature and transmittal to DES. Please look at item on page, item 8 on page 5. You'll see there's a duly representative signatory for the town that needs to sign. After signing, the directions from DES for submitting the document are as follows.
I will move approval.
I'll second.
And I believe one signature. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, thank you. Quickest one was the simplest one, one signature. You got through that in a hurry. If you'd like to begin, go ahead, sir.
It's a heck of a lunch. When did you?
Thank you, sir.
Chief? Email those.
Thank you.
So ending for 2020 for our stats, we had 191 fire calls, 276 medical calls, 60 service calls, and 9 special details for a total of 538 for the year. Our gas burner inspections were 49, oil burner inspections 6, wood pellet stove inspections 7, life safety was 27 for a total of 89. As of 2021, our totals are 15 for fire calls, 19 for medical calls, 5 service calls, and 2 special details, totaling for 41. Gas burner inspections 3, oil burner inspections 0, wood pellet stove inspections 1, life safety inspections 5, for a total of 9. The Firefighters Association has been working on 2 projects for 2020, and we've completed those. The first project was through Fall Peak Community Fund, which is a Stokes basket with a wheel that was purchased. A Stokes basket is a stretcher that is used to place the injured person in. The device can be used to move the injured party safely from the location or situation that they are in to a waiting ambulance. The wheel can be attached to be used for extended extrications, such as mountain rescues or trail rescues, which we've had a few of in 2020. This is a picture of this particular. So that particular device will be put with our ATV and all of the emergency equipment that's on a particular trailer to do those extended rescues.
Yeah.
This particular device is much lighter. They're actually in packs, and I didn't bring it in today, but both of the units that I'll be talking about today need to have a hearing for acceptance by the selectmen. So the day of the hearing, I can bring it in, and you can see how compact and how easy it is to use. The second, and again, the Ball Peak Community Fund provided that equipment. They asked that we not give the price of that as far as in public. So I'm not doing that today. I can give you.
We need to know what the value is.
Yes.
Because that determines whether it has to be
Yep.
a hearing or just, a noticed hearing or just.
Correct. And I'll give you all that information so that you have that. I can say that it would need to be a noticed hearing.
Okay.
Because both
So
of
it's over the
them.
threshold, yeah.
Yeah, both of them meet the threshold. The second item is a Roscu mechanical CPR device and related equipment. That was our main project for the year for the Firefighters Association. It is used by personnel to provide CPR compressions.
ROSCU is an acronym for what?
It's a rescue device that is.
No, I'm just thinking of the initials, so it's clear.
It's actually the name, just
Name of the
particularly the name of the unit,
Oh, okay,
the
so
name of the
So
company.
it's not an acronym.
No.
Got it.
As far as the unit.
You're up, Bill. You're the next one.
Thank you.
So the unit that is in here, which can stay right in the bag, is the battery part of the unit. This is the side of the device that actually does the CPR, and it has a strap that goes around the chest. There are two different sizes for those, and it actually attaches to the patient. And it can do continuous CPR when you're carrying the patient, which a lot of times you have to stop when you're moving from the household to the ambulance. So there's an interruption there. This can be used whether the patient's sitting up in a stair chair, or if they were on a backboard, going through a tight spot, or extended circumstances like in the woods, say you were walking in the woods type of thing and you need to be carried out. It also makes circumstances when you're transporting in the back of the ambulance, a lot of times people are standing up doing CPR, so they can't be seat belted for safety as far as that goes. There are some cases that you just don't have a choice, that you need to be able to move around as far as it goes, but in most cases, this unit will continuously do CPR until someone stops it for whatever reason that is needed. So it's a very decent unit to help and make things better for the personnel that are using it and the patient outcome, hopefully in the long run. Because it's giving you effective CPR. It's a machine. It's not interrupted if you get tired and things like that, which you can see if you didn't have someone to switch out to, if personnel were doing the manual CPR. This unit will be carried on our ambulance, and again, when the hearing comes up, I can give you a demonstration of it on a mannequin, of exactly how it's set up and how it functions, so people have the opportunity to ask further questions about that. And both pieces of equipment will be donated by the Firefighters Association for the fire department. Both units will need acceptance by the Selectmen board due to their cost. The server for the fire department has been ordered, and it is at the fire station in the IT room at Central Station. Lakes Region Computer has been working with Lieutenant Chris Morgan to get the new system in place and operational, and I did see an email from them this morning saying that they're further working on that, so it's great to see that they're following up on any requests that we had. Melvin Marino will be completing the work needed on the 2 outboard motors on Boat 1. The work will be completed this winter on the boat where it's out of service, and this was approved at a prior meeting that we had. Through joint efforts of Police Chief and Diane Fallacy and the Fire Department personnel, grants operation personnel from Lexapro, Megan Keeley, the Assistance to Firefighters grant is in the process of being submitted. The closing date is February 12th, 2021. And that is, again, for the radios, and that was the grant that we had a discussion with, that we're having problems getting it in. It's finally been solved, and it's on its way through that. Once it's submitted, we just need to wait to see if it's something that we receive, and then follow up from there. Completion of installing manual door opening devices on the 4 doors at Central Station was completed Friday, 1/22/21. This allows personnel to open the door safely if the door remote openers fail. As you know, the doors are fairly large, We've had the opportunity for a couple of the openers to fail in the past and struggled to get the doors to open. We did find that they actually do make the devices to open these particular doors, and there's a picture of it. Very simple, but makes people safe in the long run. They're not underneath the doors, multiple people trying to pick them up and to do so.
So what about the doors in the other stations? Are they-
The doors in the other stations are only 10-foot tall doors, so they're not so hard to raise up. These particular doors are very heavy and very hard to raise manually as far as it goes. The other ones go up really easy. It's just a matter of disconnecting them.
But they're all capable of being disengaged from the operators?
Yes.
From the
Yep.
powered operators?
In all cases, it takes a step ladder to do so as far as disengaging them from the operators, because you don't want the ropes too long on those particular units, because they wrap around the light bars and cause issues and things like that. So. The cistern at 18 Thomas Point has been completed. We filled and tested that unit on 1/11/2021. So that is all up and running for that particular area. All personnel that have wished to have COVID-19 shots have had their first shots. We had 2 individuals that decided that they did not want to have them. And as of 1/26/2021, the second round of shots will start for the first group of people, so that's tomorrow. We had groups of people that go through it. The first group of people was 7. That way we didn't do our whole department at once, and we could see if there was any issues, and we did not have any issues with the first round of shots. That's what I have for you today. If you have anything further with that.
So we need to schedule a public hearing for acceptance of
The 2
these items, right?
Yes, and I will get all the information to Kathy in reference to cost and description for that.
So the grant that hopefully you'll receive on the radios, how much money was that for?
That, we applied for $120,000. So
Okay.
it's
Which is the cost of the radios, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a 75-25 grant, so
Okay.
roughly 90,000, and we would have to come up with.
Yeah. And
When are they
when
awarded?
is the award?
That is something that you don't know exactly when it's going to be awarded. You know that there's a certain time period, but I've never seen a specific date. You know, they'll let you know as far as it goes. I am sure that it'll be before we get to town meeting and things like that, but there's no specific time period.
So we're gonna, this is currently Article B on the warrant that we're creating. So we're gonna add language to the effect of the application for the $90,000 grant, and the warrant article becomes subject to that.
Yes.
I mean, I don't, unless you want to suggest we do something else.
Well, the only thing that I do suggest is that if the radios aren't purchased, we're going to be very critical as far as radio-wise, because some of them are failing as we go. So they will have to be purchased one way or another as far as radio-wise.
So So I guess we can just mention the expectations
So,
of that.
yeah. So, yeah, so we need to put we'll put language in about application of the grant if it's received, but what I'm here, I think, and what you said before is basically, if we get the grant and we think there's a good
Right.
possibility, that's great, it'll
Yeah.
cost the taxpayers directly less money.
Right,
But
correct.
if we don't get the grant,
Then we still need to purchase the
then we
radios.
still have to get the radios, yeah.
We did not put extra money in radio budget to fix and repair multiple radios as far as it goes, because we knew that we were going to, so.
One of the budget, just to move on a little bit, excuse me. One of the members of the budget committee mentioned grants for radios, and are we doing anything about grants for radios? And I could tell her with authority that we are. The other thing that she brought up was grants for fire trucks.
Yeah,
So
it would be the same, it would be through the same grant.
Okay.
However, the town of Tuftonville, I can tell you, will never receive a grant for a fire truck, because we have purchased the trucks in the past. The grants for the fire trucks are more for towns that have less money, obviously. The radio situation is kind of like air packs, I think. They are a necessity as far as that, for daily use. And
Okay,
things
so
like
I
that.
can tell that member that we've looked into that particular type of grant.
We've applied for them in the past and not received.
So the decision criteria on fire apparatus is different than it is on air packs and
Yes.
radios.
Yes,
So-
if we had one fire truck that was, 1970s version, yeah, you have a better chance than having the three Class A pieces of equipment that we have, currently. The oldest one being a 2005, as far as it goes. So,
Okay, thanks.
you're welcome. It doesn't mean that things don't change down the road, We can
always apply for them,
But we'll never not apply for that, but I think that you have a better chance for the radios than you do with that. Do you have any further questions?
I don't know.
I don't.
Thank you.
There's no police chief.
Kathy, do you know if the chief's on his way?
Steve's here.
Steve, come on down. How are you doing?
Okay.
Is there anything you want to begin with?
This is a follow-up on the last discussion that we had, when the next step was to get an appraisal, so here's the appraisal.
And this appraisal is of the portion that,
It's
We want-
currently identified as current use.
okay, so it's not the whole parcel, it's
No,
just the back part.
Originally, there was a lot in the house that set out on the tax card And then there in the tax card file, there's a description of the current use area. The boundary between regular and the current use area, so there's just the current use portion. If you were out there looking at it, the lot that goes with the house is basically the flat area around the house before you get into a steep slope that goes down to the river. And to the right-hand side, there's a little driveway, maybe 100 feet up from the house. It goes into a flat area. I think it was probably used for processing firewood. But that would be included in the house lot.
So 2 3/4 acres and structures are excluded in this appraisal, is that correct?
Have you been in any contact with the lawyer?
I have not. After our last meeting, they asked us and we replied that because the meeting was non-public that we couldn't discuss anything. Other than we were still working on trying to make this happen.
So as I recall, in our last conversation, we said establish a value and that could be used as a value to separate that portion from the lot and attach it to the Great Meadow.
Yeah.
So now that you have a value, what's next?
Well, I'm in communication with 2 possible partners. One is Land Bank, the other I can't disclose at this moment because it's a policy shift to them. Land Bank, I think, would come in with something between 10 and 20, who would add to our 20. And I don't know the other partner. Potentially the other partner would pick up the whole thing. But that's only a chance. So my target would be to cover at least half of that appraised value and then ask the town to pick up the other half.
So there's going to be some additional expenses involved as well. You have to survey it. You have to survey it in order to do a subdivision.
And eventually, yeah.
No, before the sale, you have to do that. So that's going to be included in the cost that you incur. You got $87,000 is the appraised value, plus the process to get it to that point. So, I mean, I think you're looking at $100,000. So, you're confident you can raise $40,000?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying? Okay. So the town will have to come up with a round figure 60. But not this year, obviously.
And I also need a deadline for when we actually know what you have to know for the figure. So I can, I need to tell the potential partners when we have to know what they can come in with.
Well, I mean, I don't foresee this happening in 2021. I don't know what you guys do.
Well, we've identified a lot of expense
Yeah,
for the warrant this year, and so to add the difference for this, you're talking $60,000.
I think the bigger issue is I mean, what this effectively would do would be to satisfy the tax lien on all the properties. So we would be giving back the property to the property owner. Or we'd give her money, and she could decide. But there's no way for her to redeem the property that was taken for taxes if we take this piece out.
Well, right, but what we're doing is we're giving her fair market value for
This piece.
for this piece, right? And probably more than it would sell for. I would say certainly more than that would sell for at auction, based upon history.
Right. I mean, I think if I were playing the devil's advocate as her attorney, I'd say, I want an appraisal on the whole piece with the house. And then I want an appraisal on the house without this, so that I can see what the difference is. And if the difference is 87,000 or 80 or 90,000, that's fine. But if the house would sell for $100,000 more with more land, then that's what I want. You see where I'm going? I just don't want to get into, I mean, I know Steve's done quite a lot of thinking and work on this. I just don't want to get into a briar patch with some overzealous attorney. They are all overzealous.
Yeah. Be in continuous litigation for
Right.
ever.
And not be able to satisfy Steve's needs or the Conservation Commission's needs to put this land into his
In the agreement, yeah.
scheme. So maybe the approach would be to give this and a memo to town's attorney, have town's attorney contact her attorney and see if they can cut a deal. Because I think we need a deal before we start making.
Does that make sense, Steve?
Sure. I only know how valuable this is to the Great Meadow project.
Yeah.
It's huge for us, and I know that our normal avenue of going out with the grant process, we don't have time for that. Plus, everything we're hearing is because of the shifts in budgets and things, there's going to be very little of that available over this next year.
I agree with you. I think it makes sense to have
Yeah, I mean, I
town
think
council
ultimately-
review it and,
Ultimately, we own the property, so we can do with it what we will. And as long as it's fiscally responsible and it's not taking advantage of the taxpayer.
right.
So, I mean, maybe we decide to break it up and put both pieces on the market. It's, you know, all the taxpayer would end up with then would be money,
Yeah.
which is not nothing. If we were to want to put, let's get $60,000 in this year's warrant, with our drop dead dates coming right up. I guess
When do we have to post the warrant, Kathy?
The 5th, is it, or the 9th?
I got that. The meeting's the 9th.
That's a budget hearing is the 9th,
Yeah.
right? but the warrant isn't posted until after the budget, right? But, so, it's sometime in February, but,
Last day for select board to post warrant and budget, February 22nd.
February 22nd. So, of course, one of the things in terms of room on the warrant is, we just talked about with the radios. If 90 grand comes in on a grant for the radios, and that leaves,
Yeah, 90 grand, you got,
right,
shouldn't have to spend
right, exactly.
a lot of ifs.
It
But
is.
it could be that where we move the business meeting out into May.
We may know what the grant money is by then.
Right, and we
So-
amend the warrant,
Uh,
or we don't.
We can't add to the warrant, but we can amend what's on
We can
it.
amend it.
Yes.
Huh? Yeah, we can take things away.
Or we can make that math for the radios work.
Mhm.
So let's say we added the 60 for Steve.
Right, right. But in order to do that, we have to put this item on the warrant up front.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think if we could get, we have 3 weeks, basically. If we can get some surety out of our attorney that this would actually go together, then we'll move forward, or we'll
Yeah.
certainly talk about it more seriously.
yeah.
3 weeks?
Well, we have to sign the warrant on the 22nd of February. That's the last date by law. So if it's gonna go to a town meeting as an article this year, we have to know for sure that we're gonna put it on by the 22nd of February. And between now and then, we wanna have town council review this, and have some, confidence that going forward is that all of the legal issues are addressed. So whether that involves, and maybe it involves, is talking with the former owner's attorney. What we don't want to have is a situation, as Chip identified,
Yeah, I agree with that.
where the former owner ultimately says, oh yeah, well, you guys lowballed it, and it's worth more than that, and we're gonna be endlessly in litigation over it. And we end up spending far more than a few $1,000s more on a purchase price in legal bills, and drag it out forever.
Another approach, and I'm not saying this is the only approach, would be for the town to grant an easement on that property, a conservation easement, and then we market the whole piece. And whoever buys it understands that they're buying a piece of property that 14 acres or whatever it was has a conservation easement on it, which has a certain attractiveness to some buyers who want to stuff a bunch of houses on the property, but
Yeah,
that would generate an actual market value, because at that point we'd be putting it out.
Developing that, we thought about this, developing that value is a lot more difficult. Just as you say, almost every potential buyer would look at it a little differently. If we did go that way, we would want to have in that easement the right to build a trail along the river to connect to.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you can draft the easement the way you want it, but at that point, we would have advertised it publicly, and it would draw its actual value to the market.
mhm.
Whoever wants to own it would pay whatever it needs to get that ownership happening. And that could very well be a cleaner way to handle it, but I think we'll let Attorney Singer
Yeah.
weigh in.
So let's play this one out, and I'm supportive of putting an article on the warrant. And again, lots of moving parts here, so if grants on some of the other things that we're anticipating the grants for don't come through, and that bumps the the total price of the warrant up this year. We may end up at town meeting standing up and saying that we want to table this for a year or table something else. We can always find things to add to the warrant that we need to do, but we do have a responsibility to everybody that pays taxes to not go.
I think our current warrant, as we've designed it, is still coming in lighter than last year's warrant, which gives us a little bit more flexibility
Yeah.
than we might have normally. But
Yeah.
I think you're right, we'll just keep looking at it and
Yep.
get a word from Satan.
And I'd assume that, let's say we raise more money than we think we can, that we could amend the article on the floor.
Well, absolutely. You can amend it either way, as long as you don't violate the 10% rule. But you can amend it down forever. You can only amend it up to the extent that it doesn't violate the 10% rule. But, yeah, I think what we want to do is put in the article a number at this point that we see we think it's going to need, and then we can tweak it at town meeting.
So the next move is to turn this over to Rick,
Yeah,
see what he can work out.
right.
All right,
Yeah, get him to bless the concept and give us a clear conscience about going forward is a way to protect the value that the former owner has in the property, and not result in the endless
Endless litigation.
litigation that only attorneys benefit from, ultimately.
So, do you want us to supply Rick with this, or do you want to contact him and run your program by him?
Well, you've worked with Rick before, right?
Yep.
And you've talked with him about this particular issue.
yep,
Are you comfortable getting a hold of him?
sure.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
All right, and keep Kathy
And,
apprised of what you're doing.
okay, and he's gonna ask me who's paying?
The town is paying.
Town of Tuftonboro is paying.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now, whether we budget or we charge it to your line item or not, we'll figure that out.
all right.
And how's your commission secretary working out? Your new secretary?
Oh, okay, good. Yep, you're doing a good job. We haven't done anything other than minutes so far. She's doing a good job with that. We're all learning, DEF changed all their rules, so one part of our meeting is all the reports on the permit.
Ah,
And that's been tricky because none of us understand what, even though we took the course and their changes, it's still deep.
Yeah.
Not substantive, it actually looks like there's less work for us to do. Ball Brook, did you get Rick's opinion?
yes.
And we have yet to hear back from Wolfboro on, the only thing we have that I've seen, maybe there's more, is the letter from Dave Ford. So have the selectmen down there actually agreed to this whole program?
Yeah,
They have.
I think that's in his letter. Well, there's two letters, there's that one and there's a follow-up maybe a month later after he went to select board and
Okay.
and it was part of his budget discussion, and then he explained the whole thing, and they approved it.
Okay, so I didn't see that one, so that's great.
So we can move ahead?
I think we have to. I mean, we have, our expectation going forward was that they were gonna put a program together. It appears as though they have. Obviously, we're not gonna sit on our hands if it doesn't work out, but we'll try for 2021, I guess, unless you guys have got something else you wanna try.
I don't know
So our
Yes,
current understanding is that FB Environmental will actually do the work.
Right.
And, well, they're under Wolflow's contract because they're paying them. They will copy us with any communication. We're going to be present at the sampling stations, and we're going to accompany some of the sampling runs, and we made ourselves available as volunteers if they need any volunteer support. And we will get copies of all the data. And that's
And
the arrangement we have.
Hopefully, we haven't, in the process, signed off our rights on any further development of that property, because I know there was some questions about going under the brook and different things that I guess they got a stormwater management plan they're trying to put together for the Tuftonboro side. So hopefully, we're gonna be all included in that permitting process.
They had stormwater, issues already resolved in their permit application, but we wanted them to expand that to the access road and all the other roads that are out there, and then the breakouts on their side. So they're going to do that.
Okay.
All right.
thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
You're free to go.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for the help.
Next item on our list.
Chief?
We have an appointment with.
Oh, it's 10. So you want to do Belknap first?
Okay. Camp Belknap?
Yeah.
You with the camp?
Yeah.
Hello, good morning.
Hi.
Thanks for taking the time to review the proposal we put in front of you regarding a temporary use due to COVID for mostly tents and some RVs for next summer. Happy to walk through it. I know I've done a site walk with Jack and Chief Thompson as well on Friday, and I'm sure you've seen it. So happy to give an overview if that's helpful, or just answer specific questions, however you three would like to proceed.
So I guess Jack's got to be.
Yeah, we walked it. I mean, there's really no issues where they're going. I mean, you're gonna have plenty of egress from them, and the safe's just temporary, so.
So no health and safety issues?
Now, they're gonna meet all of the health and safety issues before they go into operation. They're gonna show us, we'll actually do a walk once it's set up to make sure that everything is as they said it's gonna be. And the only thing that I see as far as that we would be also looking for is that, in case of drastic winds, which you'll have in your plan, the people, the tent situations, where they're gonna be moved to for safety if that does come up. But
Right.
that's all that will be addressed in your safety plans anyways.
Yeah, that's normal under our normal emergency action plan that you receive every year. Yeah.
And there's changes to the dining hall as well?
So it's not changes to the dining hall, it's actually attaching a 30 by 80 tent to the dining hall to expand for social distancing use. And that's adjacent to it. That's the tent that's most significant in size. We'll have a temporary floor and really connect to it. It's like a plastic snap down floor. We've gotten approval from DES on that. That doesn't need
Are you
shoreline.
buying this tent or are you renting it?
We're renting it, yeah. That would be, renting's enough cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that tent will meet all the egress. It'll have screened walls for lots of air, but there are real entrances and exits with lighted exit signs and meeting all the normal codes we have to do for a dining space like that.
And the 25 by 25 tents, are those on platform? Are they just on the ground?
For the campers that we'd be talking about, yeah, those would be on a platform, and they would be, built under Jack's review and then removed at the end of the season. Yeah,
So the tent's gone, the platform's gone?
yeah. Yeah, so what we proposed here was, this was recommended by Jack, to put together an MOU outlining the use of it from May 10th through September 30th. Part of those shoulder seasons is it takes time to set it up.
Sure.
Take it down.
So is this gonna give you the ability to have 100% occupancy at the camp?
Yep,
Okay, so you're back in business at that point.
that's the hope and intent, yeah, yeah.
Any issues you see, Jack?
Oh, the RVs are gonna dump right into the septic, so those will be tied in, so those will be fine.
And the septic can handle
There's a
that?
new septic on the west side, so it's all, plenty. It's actually dumping in where there was going to be buildings, but that's on a hold right now, so.
And no fire and rescue issues?
We can get to,
I mean, don't need to buy a helicopter to service this.
well, if you want. That's a whole $8 million project all by itself.
Yeah, not to mention the
You
staff.
have to train me to fly.
Okay, I'll let you guys.
The only thing that's really gonna be built is the tent platforms.
Right.
And like I say, later on, if they wanna keep it, they'll have to go to the planning board for site plans, something like that, if they wanna keep them, so. That
Yeah.
would change that, but that's all.
That's not our intent,
Yeah.
yeah, because it will take over part of our baseball field and,
Yeah.
The less of the foot in the door that we do, the happier I am. So
Yeah.
if your plan is long-term, then present the long-term plan.
yeah, yeah.
I'm good.
Do we vote? Would you like a vote? Would that be-
Yeah, so we had, I don't know how you want to document it, we had been recommended to put together a draft MOU that outlined it attached to this proposal. If you're comfortable signing that, great, if you're not, you want to take some type of vote to approve it.
No, we have to vote to sign the MOU.
Right, yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we have the chairman of the board sign the memorandum of understanding.
And I'll second.
We're all set.
You want to take a vote?
All those in favor?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You okay with this one?
That's fine.
Okay.
Great,
So we'll have the chair sign it.
awesome,
Thank you very much.
great. Thanks for,
Thanks for
Thanks.
coming in.
yeah, thanks for your time, thank you.
More lawsuits, okay?
Tell us about it.
Yeah.
Are you okay, Lou?
Yes. All set.
Okay. Morning, Chief.
Good morning. So I've been kind of busy with grant work. I guess we got the one with the fire department squared away.
Work on that, thank you very much.
And we're working on the one for the police station, some paperwork they needed. The grants have been, some of it. There's one of it that I think we may need to talk about hiring a Bergeron possibly to do. That's the environmental report. There's several stages to it. I put one together. I don't think it's suitable 100%. I haven't heard back from USDA. But I think looking at that, and then I had a call for several hours with the architect to go over some of the drawings. I think there's some stuff we need to look at because it's tilted a little bit so that it does go towards that runoff area there, that seasonal runoff that twists the building, puts the driveway into that, which I hadn't realized when I did the environmental impact. And I guess I kind of felt that the environmental impact was kind of overkill for a project that's essentially a big house, if you will, for what they were asking for some of the questions. But they may not see it quite that way, but.
Well, even in the housing development situation, you have to map the wetlands. And I
That-
thought that the wetlands had been mapped on that piece of property at some point in the past, maybe when the library was gonna move there.
Yeah, I thought Bergeron had done a topo map with some of the stuff early on. That's why I kind of thought they did the topographic and I've done the Fish and Wildlife endangered species map. I did that. That was pretty easy. The Emmett one, which is the historical resources or archaeological, that is going to be pretty easy now that I've made the right connection to get access to the Emmett mapping. But the environmental one, the IPAC, is pretty lengthy and
Well, the only way you're gonna get, I mean, you have to have a wetland scientist do it. You can't do it yourself.
well, it's I don't know that it's asking wetlands per se, but it's asking
It is.
some of that stuff. But
It is, believe me.
so we probably need to talk to somebody like Bergeron or something. I just thought they had already done some work and had worked with the,
It should have been, I'm almost positive it was done, so.
But when we were looking at doing the library.
Right,
Yeah.
so Bergeron would have any kind.
so they'd have
Yeah,
data on it already that they could pretty much
right.
go pretty quick on it, I would think. That's why I thought about that. But I spent, like I said, several hours with the architect last week. Quite frankly, it was tough looking at the plans on a computer screen while he's describing it. So I talked to Selectmen Albee and Jack Parsons about Thursday. I contacted Phil, he said Thursday afternoon he's available, he'll print off some plans. So we could, what
I
day?
thought we were doing it in the morning.
I didn't set a time, I left it to you.
I'm only available to you from 8:30 until 11.
Okay, we'll make it for 9 o'clock.
That's fine.
And we'll just, Phil doesn't necessarily have to be there, I don't know, that we just need to look at the plans.
It doesn't have to be any day we need there.
Yeah, but it's, quite frankly, it was pretty, they're drilling down, and I feel like, there's things I might be missing if it's just my eyes alone that look at it. For example, I realized looking at it, there's no like hose bibs in the garage, and so then he proposed back putting 2 sets in. I'm like, no, you only need 1, but it's just kind of there's a lot to it that I'm afraid I'm missing because it's if my eyes alone look at it, and I don't know some of the other construction stuff like Jack or.
And I'd be able to report back to you guys either Friday or Monday
Yep.
on what happened at that meeting.
Good. So, and it's tough looking at it as a screen when you need to look at the legend on the next page and stuff. So I spent, actually, between those 2 things, I spent quite a few hours last week between either phone calls or time dealing with that. But hopefully we can get, everything's on track still. I mean, it's just a matter of figuring out what we're gonna do about Bergeron or whoever. Usually an engineer does that.
They did the test pit digging?
I do not know if they've done that.
I thought that,
They asked if they could, and I told them that you guys had said it was okay, so
Yeah.
I said yes, but they haven't told me any update.
okay, so we don't know about that yet.
I wasn't aware of really what was going on with that, so I'll be honest with it.
Yeah, I think, as I recall, because of where the costs of the site work came in,
Right.
one of the questions was the soils.
The soils.
And so he'd come back and said, is it okay if we go out and dig some test pits to see what the soils are? Again, I think all that stuff was done when we were looking at putting a library there, but.
But I don't think anybody can find that.
Right.
But there is a gravel pit on the back side where we're planning on building, so I imagine it's gravel.
Yeah.
They would have dug it out except there was a house on top.
Well, my recollection from when this was going through with the library plan is, again, all of the questions about that were looked at and answered, and not an issue, but, gotta nail it down, because that's what's there is gonna impact the cost of building the building. Sure.
So I guess the question is, as far as the environmental statement, that part of it that needs to be done by Bergeron or whoever, what's the next step with that we need to take? Should we reach out to them? Should we have to put an RFP? What do we have to do?
Well, I think you need to talk to Bergeron and see if they've got that information at hand.
How much they have to do it.
Right, and then I would think that they probably have filled out that form before. You know.
They said it's a pretty standard thing to go through it's a fishing game wildlife IPAC, you check boxes, and then they make recommendations based upon those boxes as to what things you might need to do.
And you've got a grant writer working on this, right?
No, it's me.
Just you?
Yeah.
I thought we hired a grant writer, what happened to that?
I have reached out to her 3 different times in the past 2 months, and I'm not getting any answers.
She was gonna go out looking for grants,
Could be
let us know.
the late grant writer.
Yeah, really. Really.
All right, so that's off the table, I'm sorry. Okay.
So I'll put a call into Bergeron, somebody up there to talk about what it would, get an estimate of what it would cost to do it based, I assume they have some data already.
Yeah, and while you're on the phone with them, tell them this is what you're working on, the type of grant.
Yeah.
Maybe they've done it somewhere else.
When I talked to Heather Malone, who's with USDA, who's in Conway,
Okay.
she said that usually engineers do this, they do it all the time. It's kind of a expectation for them, not anything out of the norm for them. In fact, that's how I kind of got the idea of checking with what link. That's how I figured out how to do the Emmett map, and the other thing is because on a different thing for my family thing, we had somebody for a retaining wall along the lake, so new wetlands, and I saw the bill and they said Emmett, and check with Emmett and check with this map, and then also in the other mapping that the USDA sent me what's in those types of environmental studies, and there were links in there that you have to check off any sensitive farmlands and that sort of stuff. But we're pretty,
Okay.
so that's what
Is the 424, is that form?
424C, that's a form I have to get done
Okay,
too. But I
that's
was
the
working
one,
with
that's the
Phil.
only thing left for us according to the last email I got.
The environmental thing. Well, I sent the environmental, they're gonna review if what I did was okay, or if I need to do more, and I have a feeling they're gonna say more. But the 424C, I was talking with Phil to get numbers back and forth on that, because that's what has to be put in. And then that, and the new computer we got for the cruiser, I spent some time on the phone trying to, I'm fixing that. There should be a part today, there should be a part in to fix it, so working on that. So that and the video system still needs to be tweaked to get that up to just entering data, and that's pretty simple, but the computer system was not working. We had to make several trips to the county to get that, see what's going on with that, and then we found out it was actually probably the computer. That's where we're at, and then I have to still finish some end of year kind of stats for the state and stuff. So, and I have got some people that have expressed an interest in the administrative position. Good.
And is your staff all COVID vaccinated?
No, we still, it's voluntary. Half at this point have elected not to do it. And the other half are waiting for their second shot. Okay.
I'll bite my tongue.
And frankly, if hesitating, I think, in changing your mind now could be a delay from what I'm hearing in the signups.
Well, we're signing up, I signed up Sunday, I've got a date yet, but.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're signing up old people like me.
I'm getting mine on Friday afternoon.
Good for you, buddy.
So, yeah,
Good?
yeah. So, on we go.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
Yep.
So I'll see you Thursday.
Okay.
So I will jump in here. I did talk with Phil. There was some emails back and forth, questions about various things. Question about clerk of the works, and we talked about, we were hiring a construction manager. So clerk of the works is required under the grant.
Yes.
So Jack can be a clerk of the works, and so I think we got that particular issue addressed. He and I talked a little bit about the timing change on town meeting. He wasn't aware that we pushed it to May, but thought that if we're not going to vote until May, we probably don't want to get our prices on the construction until closer to town meeting than February.
He just sent me a new email that I put in.
Yeah, we're gonna have a bond hearing,
We are going to have a bond
and
hearing.
we need to have numbers to talk about at the bond hearing. I mean, I suppose we could.
We
use
can
the
talk
numbers
with the, well, I guess my thought is we can talk with the current numbers at the bond hearing,
Right.
right? But if the whole idea of getting a firm price on construction is that it's going to be accurate, then we probably don't want to get it 3 months before it goes to
Oh,
vote.
no, absolutely not. But I think, yeah, we could use the numbers that he's already given us for that, but it would be nice to have more accurate numbers
Mhm.
For the bond hearing. And then hopefully, if the numbers he comes up with in May are significantly higher than our warrant article, then we'll just have to deal with that when it comes.
Right.
On the phone call, Cobb Hill said that some lumber yards aren't guaranteeing prices more than a week out on lumber. Lumber is so volatile price-wise that it'd be tough to get a contract now if we're until we're close to that. Get a firm bid price until we're closer to the actual start date, is what Cobb Hill said.
All right.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Signature items.
We got that.
Yeah, I think we've got the signature file done. I will mention, we received paperwork on the milfoil grant for this year. Came in Friday. I'm going to suggest that we deal with it next week, because I know in the past, there's lots of places that has to be initialed, it has to be signed by one person here and somebody else someplace else. You do it wrong and you send it in. Anyway, so the reimbursement grant is 40% for 2021, which is the same as it was last year. So almost half of what we spend we get back.
Okay, so we're not getting the whole 17,000 back.
No, that's different.
Okay,
The 17,000 is going to be a distribution from the IMA.
okay.
The 40% is against what we are going to spend from the state, against what we're spending for milfoil treatment
Okay.
or pulling this year.
Good. Thanks.
Yep. So that action items?
Yes, we do. Good morning, all. Task, please find dollar changes we voted on in November. Currently, the cost is $60,000 for a full plot and $30,000 for a half plot. Should we have looked into this again before Tuesday's meeting? Bill, if you'd like to seek approval from the board, we'd appreciate it.
This is the
Community garden.
community garden plots, right? So the new fees for this year are lower than they have been in the past. In the past, we tilled the whole garden and fertilized it every year. And in 2020, we went to, that was the last time we tilled it. We turned it into a no-till, and garden people can keep and use the same plot from year to year. Has kind of permanent walkways installed in it, so the fee structure has gone down because there's less costs going into it. As I recall, the fee structure was designed so that whatever we collected paid the costs of running it. Cost has gone down, so the fees have gone down. And you have this fee schedule there,
I
right?
have the cost of plot rentals is $40. Half plot is $24. And the number of row plots is $32.
Right.
Okay. And that will be, that'll be discussed at next, the community gardens at the next meeting.
It's gonna go on to the contract. They're looking for approval of their fees for this
Do you
year.
want to make that a motion? We'll vote on it,
So-
or do we want to talk about it?
Okay.
So I'll move the new schedule on community gardens.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. Next thing we have is Town of Teutonburg town warrant. Anything to be talked about? Now, we're still waiting.
So I'm gonna move that we add another article to the warrant that we talked about earlier today. I guess this would be Article I. And that is to raise and appropriate $60,000 for purchase of an addition to the Great Meadow.
Is that,
Hmm?
is that a second?
No, it's not yet, because I have two, I'm not ready to second that. I want to find out from Sager what we should do. I mean, my concern, I have two concerns. One is if we do put a warrant article up today, we've got to do it for the $89,000. And then plug in the grant money in the following language after we ask for the 89, because the purchase price is 89.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, I'm not convinced that that's going to be enough. Because he's going to have to subdivide this thing with a survey on it. And I almost, I'm not ready to vote for it, but you two guys can vote on it.
Well, and again, we're not finalizing the warrant at this point. We
So, okay, so your plan was to add an article that upon finalization sometime in the future, we could remove it or
Right,
increase it or change it?
exactly.
Okay.
What I know from the past is because we've run into it more than once, is we talk about something for the warrant and then it gets slipped to the side, and because it isn't on the draft, in the end, it gets missed. So I share your concerns and caveats here. I'm looking to put a placeholder in so that we don't miss it when we
All right,
get to that
and
point.
I'll second for those purposes.
And are we going to vote on it, or,
Yeah.
Sure.
okay? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So we'll let you write that.
That passes.
Is that 3-0?
Hmm?
I didn't hear Lord say yes, so.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Lord said yes.
Okay, next thing is, it's correspondence. Jaren and Joanne Mon, Resources Management, Tiftonboro Tax Base, Lot 58-2. It's a environmental land force management. They received let's see now, violation on their property. more to follow. Next is circulation statistics for
Library.
library. Yep. Next thing is January 15th, tree clearing and utility right away. Is coming along. This is attached a letter I've sent to Granite State News in reply to the report of Mr. Gallagher's analysis of the cost of residue mixed papers recycling. It is trying to get a
From Susan.
Susan, yes, Susan Schuer's latest. He was dealing with mixed paper. Another thing is initial attention. Who's monitoring town health? This is from Nancy Vittum. Is there anything you'd like to discuss on that?
Yeah, I was just going to suggest, and I'll get with Diane, that the problem that Nancy's experiencing is the same problem that the town experiences, in that the legislature made it mandatory that anyone on the town's employee insurance, regardless of their age, could only get insurance at the individual rate, rather than having available a Medicare supplemental plan. They don't allow Medicare supplemental plans through our insurance company. So my suggestion would be that Diane get in touch with Nancy with some prices for Medicare supplemental plans, which would give her the same coverage and probably cost her a lot less money than being on the town plan, where she has to buy a full coverage individual plan, through our. So that, I'll get with Diane on that.
Okay. There's a applicant named Forcier, and is trying to get some wetland permit issued. Is there anything that we need to discuss on that?
I don't think so.
No?
Okay. I see nothing else
Okay.
on that. Okay, next is let's see, we have okay, Selectmen's update.
Well, I've kind of run through mine as we had the meeting going here. A question I would have is, are we going to announce the retirement of Clay Gallagher today, or is that at a different day?
Okay.
Yeah, that's a question. Do we want to announce Clay's retirement?
Yes.
And
And,
we didn't invite his replacement to come in, I don't believe.
No, when do we want to do that?
how about next Monday?
Okay, let's do it on
Okay.
next Monday.
Next Monday?
Okay, does it make sense to have both of them here?
Sure.
Sure.
And then we can invite everybody, whoever wants to show
Right.
up.
And so
Yep.
it's a great time. Anything else?
So I'll give you a brief update out of the planning board. As we saw from the appointments today, we put together a steering committee for the master plan update that includes some members of the planning board and some other folks from different areas in the town. We'll be working with the consultant as we go forward on that. The only other thing out of the planning board is I understand that we have a application coming forward to revitalize, I guess I'd say, maybe that's not the right word, subdivision up on Ledge Hill Road that was approved for Buddy LaRue. It has been subdivided. The lots were recorded. Some of the utilities were put in, but there are some things that have to get done in order for it to work. So they're going to be coming in probably be the second meeting in February. Anyway, that process has started. So anybody that's interested.
Well, keep in mind when you're there as our selectman representative that if they're gonna do a subdivision in there, it's gonna inevitably have a road that's turned over to the town. So rather than fall into the za-di-da problems, I think part of the negotiation has to be that those roads need to be paved.
So the roads were not built to town spec for turnover to the town, like the subdivision that I live in, which means that they can't be turned over to the town until they're brought up to spec.
Let's make sure they're clear on that, because
I'm aware that the discussions that have been had already, they understand that. You can go in and rip everything up and go back in and start from scratch and build them up, but
I don't know that they need to be ripped up so much as they need to be widened, but
well,
most of the roadways.
in order to meet the spec, you have to have the base and the top coat have to be to the spec, and if they aren't, it's not just a matter of widening it. You got to.
I mean, all of the roadway that's in there is going to need some work. It isn't.
Right,
I mean, it's been
exactly.
sitting there for 20 years. So.
Right. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's part of the process. They're looking to understand what they need to do to go forward, and I was told that they have a clear understanding that they will remain private roads. So I think that's my.
The only other issue, planning board, is the ongoing complaints about the secretary. What are we going to do about that? Did that come up at all?
We have not discussed it recently. I know that Diane had expressed some concern. So, and with getting stuff signed, the chairman can sign those things. She needs, so
If the chairman wants to take on the duties of doing the paperwork, then.
If the secretary isn't available, I didn't ask Diane if she had told Matt she had invoices that needed approval or not. But
Well, it was the checks that hadn't been deposited, so the filing fees weren't getting paid. It was larger issues.
okay,
I know that there were a couple of sets of plans that hadn't even gone to the registry. I mean, Matt can do all
Right.
of that. I mean,
Right.
he doesn't need a secretary to do
right.
it if he wants to, but I can imagine that he's not sitting around wondering what he's gonna do with his time. He's got plenty of business to run.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, I've said my piece.
Yep. So that's all I have.
Anything else for administrative updates?
Yes. Are you guys gonna decide on a public hearing for the budget? For the,
Yeah, I like February 22nd. That's the last day we can do one, right? You can
it's
do
the
it at
last
a regular,
day is 22nd, and we actually have a meeting,
and we can do it at a regular meeting.
And this is the
bond hearing.
bond hearing, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's Let's do everything the same day.
Why not? And we're gonna do the acceptance hearing that day for the fire department gifts, is that right?
Same, I don't know, what, you hadn't checked the date, you didn't say it.
Well,
You wanna do it then too?
I'm fine with that.
And
The warrant has to be posted that day too.
Yep,
posted one, right.
yep.
And the budget committee has already posted their intended budget hearing date. If you haven't know that. It's supposed to,
February 9th.
they'll be voting on the 9th.
Yep.
The other thing, I know Chip looked at the draft of the warrants and had a few comments. If you want to give them to me, Chip, that's fine.
Yep,
I don't know if the rest of you have,
I will,
meet with me. Okay,
yep.
do you have yours?
I do, I have the warrant. I guess I'll know better on Thursday from Phil, because we may end up going back to 1.8 on the police department, just so that we don't,
Mhm.
we have that 10% rule with the Goswood, and just so we don't run into an issue
Right,
at town meeting.
right.
Okay.
And Bill, did you want to talk about Willing Road or no? You
Sure.
had said put it off to today. You want to
Yep.
put it off again?
Yep. So, I think you all saw the pictures that Skip Hurt had sent in on the corner intersection of Welland Road and 171 with, just trying to make the point that from his perspective, the issues at the corner are visibility issues, and he's concerned that the road agent might view that as, well, we need to take the grade down there a little bit, which would make the visibility worse. What I remember when we were out there is we were talking about the possibility of opening the corners up for some additional visibility. So I think we understand that, but that does bring us back to, we talked about a betterment for that road. And so we've got,
Has Jim come up with a number on it?
not that I'm aware of, I haven't spoken with him recently. Do you know,
No.
Lloyd? No? All right, I'll reach out to Jim and see.
Because that'll end up being a warrant article as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the reminder on that.
Yeah.
Did we miss anything else?
I don't think so. What about, well, you said you're gonna review that other one from Milfoil.
Milfoil Grant
Yeah.
paperwork, we'll do that next Monday. I want to make sure that we have the right places for the signatures identified. We've done it wrong in the past, so I guess it's too confusing for some of us old folks.
You saw Dennis's update.
I saw it in here someplace, but now I can't find it.
Basically, lack of business to discuss. That's why we decided to just give you a little blurb.
Yeah,
And just keep it in the back of your head, you have to make a decision on whether we're gonna continue to pay the referral or not by April.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna be in the budget,
mm-hmm.
so.
Okay.
All
That's all
right.
I have.
Okay.
All right, I'm good as well.
Are you all set, Mr. Chairman?
I didn't see anything else.
No, me neither.
I'll move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Public input.
Oh,
Yes.
I have a question. If the drop dead date is February 22nd for warrant articles, and we're not having a meeting till the second week in May, what is the rush? to get everything done.
It's
That's a legal-
statutory.
That's a legal requirement.
Right.
All right, but we also, so now we also have a legal requirement on May 15th or whatever for the town meeting. Is that a legal item also?
We've moved the town meeting out.
Yes.
Which is, there was enabling statutory language for that. But they didn't change any of the language for the warrant articles.
Okay,
So we have to do it all in February.
all right, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yeah. And the governor did issue an emergency order late last week that provided additional flexibility with respect to voting day. But I don't know I don't see that
When is the earliest time we can get absentee ballots from the town for voting
You
day?
have to check with the town clerk, because she handles
I didn't know
that.
if you knew that off the top of your head.
So the filing closes, I think, this Friday. So it'll be sometime in February, but yeah, she ought to be able to.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so there's a motion on the floor to adjourn. I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Joe?
Thank you.